Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Recently, we just installed our turbo back exhaust system. That thing is amazing. It's glorious. Now, I did hope that my bolts there would be long enough that I'd be able to put some nuts on them. I may go find some bolts and then just do that. That way we have a bit more security, because like you can tell where I came through here, because the drill bit wandered, that's a part of the original bolt. Now, I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but I would like it if there was a nut on the end of that, and that just might be long enough if I do that. Now, install the driver's side shock. I want to do a video about that, so I have both of these done. So both the passenger side and the driver's side will be done. Now that's a whole mess of wires. That's a whole project for some other day. I'm not going to make a video on that one. I'm just going to randomly clean it up and you guys will just see it one day, randomly. I do have a bunch of things I want to do to this vehicle just to kind of get it going. Eventually, it won't happen for a while. I do want to do the intake. I do want to do the lower elbow, wherever the heck that might be. Right there, that one. And a couple other tasteful mods. I want to get rid of this this fan. That'll give you about 5 to 10 more horsepower, a couple like about 20 foot-pounds more of torque. I'm okay with that. Now, this will be an interesting one because I want to keep the mounts for the. This is your radiator fluid. Yep, that's your radiator fluid, and then the other one's the washer fluid. I want to keep the mounts for that, so I have to make some sort of shroud. So what I might do when I do this part of it is I'll make the shroud and I'll just bolt these to it just to kind of keep the cost down, and that'll actually help out because then I have all my mounting points. That's a good one. I like that. So that'll be in the works. I will be removing this at some point this week, and then I'll contact my guy because I have a couple inches to play with. I did order the fans, 217s, and we'll see about fitting them up because I've seen the actual electronic version of this, the actual manufactured version of this. This is the Flexa Light fan for my Dodge Ram, and I hope to recreate something like this. I have two 15s, so I didn't think having two 17s would be that big of a deal, but it could be. We'll see. Anyways, let's get to it. Set up for this, you just press this in to your bottom piece and then press that in. We're going to use a vise to do that. The other day I did this for the rear, and I used the prayer pliers and whatnot. It's so much easier if you use a vise. And if you round this off, good, but it'll be a nice smoother intro and it won't rip your nylon bushing. Now, the reason why I'm installing this now is because I found where I put this bolt, which was beside the battery, and I just happened to be looking down today, so that's what we're gonna do. This was always inside the truck, knew where that was, and just gonna bolt this up. So, without further ado, I'm gonna set all this up, and then we're gonna put it into the truck. So this is where that red shock tower is gonna be bolted to. And then we have our 3-inch spacer. This you can actually install just by putting spring clamps on this, and they'll give you enough room. Obviously, you got to keep your truck jacked up. There we go. And then you'll be able to put it all in. So this is a bit more tougher than the other side because I have all of this nonsense to deal with. Now, the bottom portion of this is right here, where you put your bolt through. Hope you guys can see that because I can't see what the camera's doing. Anyways, you drop that in and you're able to do the rest of the shock. Now, it's been a while since I've had to do this, but I believe if I bring the shock in, I put the bolt down there, put that all together. So we drop the shock into here, and then we just cut the line, and then the shock will come up, and then we reattach everything. So I'm gonna undo these, and then get to putting all of that stuff in. Alrighty, so we're just getting set up. Going to put the bushing into the shock. It didn't want to go, be pushed in by hand, so I decided to go to use a vise. It's a secondary option, and if you get a socket, and I didn't do this, but if you get a socket the same size as the metal the bushing is being pushed into, it will go in a lot easier. It'll just pop into place. And I end up rounding the sleeve. I tried it without first. It got gummed up, but if you round it, it makes it a lot easier. And that's what you get. So, rounded side. That's what made the difference. So you can push these in by hand, but the best way to do that around the side. You don't really need much lubrication. If you were to do that, I didn't use any in this time, but since I used the vise, and that made the world of difference. Now we're gonna take the shock and drop it down. Because this wrap is right around either side of the components, so we can leave this as it is, and that way it won't interfere when I go to install this, the base first, and then when I cut this, it'll shoot up into this area, and then we'll already have the what do you call it, the upper mount in place. So we have to undo these, we'll drop this down, and then we'll install the bolt, which will be 100 foot-pounds. This guy here at the beginning. So let's get to that. Now we're going to drop the shock absorber into the coil spring. After that, we're going to remove the 3 nuts, which will be torqued later to 55 foot-pounds. Now, the upper shock absorber nut is set to 40 foot-pounds. Now, once we put the shock tower mount, the big red thing there, we'll tighten it all down by hand. We'll come back later and then torque them specifically. Now that we have the shock in place, the shock mount in place, and everything is fastened, we will have to install the lower shock bolt. So after I dropped the shock in, got the tower cap in. Now if you go down here, go further, go over, that's where the bolt is. You're able to actually line up the bolt with the bottom of the shock, and that way you can fasten that part of it together. So this part is going to be done on right now, and then we can let go of the restraining strap of the shock. This is obviously also a lot easier to do when you have the tire off, just to say. Everything is lubed up and the bolt is in place. It's finger tight, and then we're just tighten it down with the electronic impact. So the bottom of the shock is bolted in place. That is 100 foot-pounds. And so the next part is to cut the line that is retaining the shock, which it will shoot straight up. Okay, there it goes. That was very tame. Wow, I'm impressed. That was very tame. Usually they shoot straight up. I don't know what that says. Doesn't really feel good. Okay, so the next part of this will be torquing this down, like so. Oh well, still better than what it was, which was nothing. Now we're going to finish off the upper portion of the shock, which is just that last bolt, and there's a couple pieces of hardware we have to put on top of it to help the dampening. One is the rubber, the giant washer, and then the lock nut. So I decided to put these things in, each one of them separately. That way you lessen your chances of dropping it if you had have done all three onto the top of the shock tower all at once. So it had to be done from the top. I recommend using a long socket. For the cap, for the shock tower cap, it was 15 mil. For the, let's see, it was a 21 mil for the shock bolt for the bottom, and then for the top part it should be a 19 mil. And then I just tighten it down to till I can't tighten anymore, or about 100 foot-pounds for the bottom shock mount. And then for the shock tower cap, for those 3 bolts there, each one of those is set to 55 foot-pounds of torque, and then the top mount part of the shock, the shock top bolt, whatever the heck you want to call it, that is set to 40 foot-pounds, and I'll give you a little hint. The thing I do to hold the shock in place, because it will turn, is I get my C-clamp pliers out. I get out a rag, I put the rag inside like so, just like that. And I take the channel locks, whatever, and I clamp it down, and that way the shock doesn't get scratched, because like the rest of my vehicle is pretty rusty. And there's some rust. See, lots of rust, lots and lots of rust. That way you don't scratch your shock. Anyways, that was my tip for today. Thanks for watching, guys. There's gonna be plenty more videos coming. I was gonna remove the other shock on the passenger side, but I don't really need to. Basically, you just undo the bottom bolt for the shock, then you undo the top bolt from the shock, and/or you just take the 3 bolts out from the shock tower itself, and it'll all just come right out. It's very easy peasy lemon squeezy. So thanks for watching, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and take care. Be safe. Peace.